Hey everyone, thanks a lot for joining. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone, whichever time zone you all are from. Thank you so much for being here today for amazing banking webinar, which is focusing on the innovation side. We truly appreciate your time you took out and registered for this event, and we are hope you'll have a fantastic time for us throughout the 1 hour which we have for the webinar. Today, we are excited to explore a dynamic topic, which is innovating customer experience in banking, trends and technologies to watch. It promises to be an engaging and insightful session, as the title says that, and we are thrilled to have such a great audience here with us. Let me begin by introducing myself and AI CoreSpot as a platform to you. My name is Nitin Naveen, and I serve as the Vice President Innovation and Strategy at AI CoreSpot. With nearly a couple of decades of experience where I've worked with different consulting firms on emerging technologies, I'm fortunate to have worked alongside great leaders, global one, and stakeholders on some truly innovative projects which they have done till now. I'm also joined today by a couple of my colleagues. Arvind is there, which you can see, and Naveen is there at the backstage, and the whole AI CoreSpot team. A big round of applause to them for their dedication and the energy they have brought to organizing this webinar. A quick word about AI CoreSpot as a platform so that you are aware of what we have done till now. Founded around 5 years ago, our company serves as a knowledge hub for areas like AI, Gen AI, machine learning, robotics, blockchain, IoT, and much more. Through our webinars, we aim to keep you all updated on the latest technological advancements across various tech sectors with fresh monthly themes and growing momentum month on month. Our vision is to become the leading global AI-driven community, a place where professionals like yourself can grow together and share the success. We are committed to delivering industry-backed webinars, in-person events, which is built upon credible insights from distinguished industry leaders, subject matter experts, sponsors, our trusted partners, and all of those who have been associated with us. In addition to events, we curate content across various mediums, which includes blogs, videos, podcasts, newsletters, making it easy to inform about today's fast evolving tech landscape. For today's session, for which you all are here for, which is themed around smart banking starts with happier customers, we would cover a wide range of topics, which includes the challenges, the collaboration opportunities, the role of AI, customer experience throughout your journey, future prospects, emerging innovations, and much more, which we'll cover for this today's webinar. We are confident that the insights, discussions, and ideas you will hear today will spark new things and drive value out of today's webinar. A special thanks to all our community partners for today, which include Bread Financial, Credit Union of Colorado, and InfoVision for their essential role in making this webinar possible. Of course, a heartfelt thanks to all your attendees who have come. Your presence is invaluable. Our platform is to build you, help gain insights, connect with peers, turn inspiration into action, collaborate with each other. If you leave with new ideas or strong connections, we'll consider a great effort from our side. Let me introduce our esteemed panel of speakers for today. We have 4 great leaders. I'll begin one by one, not in that order, which what I see in the screen. So we have Kelly, Senior Director of Digital and Member Experience at Credit Union of Colorado. Then we have Vasu. She is VP of Technology at Bread Financial. Then we have Vijay, who is AVP BFSI at InfoVision. And then we have Neeraj, who is Director BFSI at InfoVision and serving as today's moderator. Just a brief disclaimer before we start with our webinar today. The views shared by all the speakers are their personal opinions and do not necessarily represent the perspectives of their respective organizations. Thank you again, all of you, for being here, and let's get started for this webinar. With that said, I'll hand it over to Neeraj to kick off this exciting panel discussion. Over to you, Neeraj.
Awesome. Thank you, Nitin. And again, just want to welcome everyone who is attending today's webinar. Again, my name is Neeraj. I am a director here at InfoVision. I work with banks, financial service organizations, and insurance companies, helping them accelerate their digital transformation, whether it be something like platform modernization, developing new applications, or learning about the various new emerging technologies that are out there. I love partnering with different financial service organizations. I want to give a thank you again to our panelists for joining us today as we talk through innovating customer experience in banking, trends and technologies to watch. Would like this webinar to be as interactive as possible. So if there are any questions that come up from the attendees side, feel free to chat them in and we'll address them either as we're going through some of the topics of interest or towards the end when we have carved out some time for Q&A with our panelists. So with that, I'd love to get started. So one of the big topics that we're learning as we're talking to more and more banks and financial service organizations is that everyone is very interested in these emerging technologies, especially when it can enhance the customer experience. But as you learn about the new trends, the new technologies that are out there, a lot of challenges come up. So I'm going to start off with Vasu. So when you're looking at some of these new technologies that you're implementing and you're dealing with a lot of challenges, what are some of the best practices that you've put in place to overcome the challenges?
Great question, and good morning, good evening. So glad to be here. So as we look at emerging tech, one, it's super exciting. The potential is phenomenal. And, you get excited at the possibilities. But when you go deeper, understanding what business capabilities it brings, understanding what are the security considerations, understanding what are the interoperability issues or considerations to take. There's cost and ROI. There is aspects of vendor scalability. So there's a lot of considerations to take into account before a new emerging tech can be adopted. And some of the best practices I recommend are to do a very intentional due diligence before adopting any new emerging tech. That can take beyond what is already shared by the vendor into breaking things up by like functional requirements, non-functional requirements, scalability, security, data readiness, operational readiness. And then as part of that due diligence effort, typically I recommend following up with a small scale pilot or a POC where all of these aspects can be looked at from the context of an example or a scenario which is applicable to your organization. And once that phase is done, can there be a decision in terms of, are there more proof points to look at, or is it ready for some level of scaling? So definitely that due diligence is necessary. While speed is important, it's also critical that the right decision is made, especially with banking. It's a highly regulated industry. So compliance, security, PII, all of those have to be front and center as we make any decisions regarding emerging tech.
Sure. No, that's a great answer. And I think that's something that, again, we tend to hear a lot. And kind of a follow-up for you, Vasu, before, when you are looking at new technologies, is it something that you are looking as, are those technologies that you're evaluating that you tend to hear from your peers, or do you tend to try to be the first one to market with these new emerging platforms?
Yeah, a great question. We hear from multiple sources. We have R&D, enterprise architecture, so there is R&D within enterprise architecture. We hear about it from our partners. We are very well connected to what's happening in the market. But as we get all of that information in, again, ensuring that we have that level of due diligence done is critical. So that's how we go about it. What was the second aspect of your question?
Do you when you're looking at bringing on emerging technologies, when you're looking at something new in the marketplace, do you tend to want to be first to market, or you look at your peers that are already implementing similar technologies to try to get their feedback before you decide to make the change?
Yeah, I mean, at Bread, we typically like to be a fast follow so that we understand how how those trends are being adopted. Typically, with a first mover, there's quite a bit of challenges. Technology sometimes is not as mature. There's learnings. And so being that fast follow allows us to adopt and refine that adoption of emerging tech to our advantage. So typically fast follow, I would say.
Sure, makes sense. And Kelly, since your role involves dealing with a lot of the customer-facing technologies at Credit Union of Colorado, when you are taking new offerings to the marketplace, are you looping in a lot of customer feedback when you're dealing with new technology? How are you making sure that the customers are involved with any sort of new technology that you're offering to them to either make their life easier or to make the life easier of the people in the back office?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think before you even get to the concept of gathering feedback or using feedback as a mechanism for change, you really have to start with the concept that banking or financial services is actually not really anymore just about the right product or the right technology, but really about the relevance and trust and what I like to call the WIFM, the what's in it for them or what's in it for me, in terms of what technology you're delivering. So it really demands kind of a new way of thinking about how you take in feedback in order to inspire or make change to how your tech is delivered. So for in terms of feedback specifically, yes, we use it not just as a checkpoint or a checkbox. Yep, we got our feedback. What did it say? Oh, let's address the feedback. Instead, looking at it through kind of a continuous loop. So how we design, how we develop and iterate, we use our consumer feedback as one of the gates. So looking at themes and trends and looking across more than just one survey or one endpoint. So we use things like surveys. If you could intertwine usability testing, calling out our employees sometimes are the greatest focus group we have at our disposal. You don't have to pay, there's not a let's sign an NDA and do other pieces. Use the
Sure.
consumers you have at your fingertip to give you feedback. We use customer journey mapping and customer journey analytics. So we are trying a lot of A/B testing in order to see what resonates with our members. And then obviously just direct feedback. We do surveys, you can partner with different groups to use non-member or non-customer feedback. So you're actually getting some data outside of just your general who's already drinking the Kool-Aid, and how might you attract new clients or new services in order to do that. So for me, it's really around, keeping a lot of input coming in, deciphering through themes, using AI in ways to do different sorting, different trend analysis, in order to make sure that your tech is accessible. It's reaching the broadest level, so that 80% mark of trying to serve to the 80% of your client base or customer base, and really making sure you're not alienating those non-tech individuals of your subset, but also making sure that you're motivated by what individuals are sharing about your work.
Sure. No, that I think is a very, very thoughtful answer. And kind of going back to where we see kind of some emerging technologies come out, I think this question can be addressed by both Kelly, you, and Vasu. But when you think about banks having access to a lot of customer data, do you see predictive analytics evolving to create better personalized customer experience so that your banks can understand your customers maybe better than the customers actually know themselves?
Yeah, Vasu, I'll take a stab at that and pass it over to you. So the answer is 1,000% yes. So how you look and study your consumers based on not profiling, not personas, but actually how they're using their wallets to spend indicates a lot about who they are, what their needs are, and then tying in some predictive analytics based on, again, persona, age, studying things like open banking as an example. Can you look at them across their whole financial ecosystem to try to see what looks like a proactive offer, and really trying to shy away from these kind of spray and pray, as I like to think what we did for a long time, which is spray every offer that you have and cross your fingers. And now really making sure that what speaks to, as an example, Vasu, if you were a customer, a member of ours, is things that are important. What is the way, what is your dollars that you're spending say matters to you? And then how do you curtail the message around the product and services you have? Pulling out pieces of like a credit card offer that speaks to a golfer or speaks to individual who enjoys travel. Those are meaningful connections that allow the message to actually be received and then to be considered if this is an offer that they'd like to take. So for me, it's we work side and hand in step, if you will, with our data analytics team, simply because I think that they're just they're each side of one coin.
Sure. No, that's a great response. I appreciate the thoughtfulness, and I'll throw that back to you, Vasu. What are your thoughts on kind of using analytics to understand your customers so they give deeper insights than maybe your customers have?
Absolutely, and great points made by Kelly. When we think about all of this emerging tech, ultimately it's a solution to a business problem. And so ultimately driving simplified experiences, meaningful experiences for the customers is the litmus test of the right leverage of this tech. And when we think about our customers, definitely customer expectations have evolved over the years. There's different classes of customers, from tech savvy to they just want to have a very meaningful experience. And so right now, with all of the data that we have, both from like a first party, second party, third party perspective, leveraging all of that data to be more of that proactive experience to the customer, where we are able to identify that intent of the customer prior to the customer actually pressing a button or asking us. That would be what I would consider a great experience for the customer. And so as we see with the increase of channels, customers are hopping between channels. Sometimes they're on the mobile web, sometimes they'll call us. Understanding the customer, like the 360 view of what the customer is doing in the channels that we provide, as well as outside to the extent possible, will help us drive that much more of a deeper and more meaningful engagement. And yes, I would say it's definitely one of our big priorities here at Bread to drive that analytics and insightful experiences for our customers.
Sure. And as both of you are evolving and seeing the changes in the technology landscape, do both of you see a need for a lot of human touch points in the future, or do you think a lot of those human touch points are ultimately going to be replaced by some sort of technology that can maybe handle the customer's inquiries more efficiently because it's operating on a 24/7 basis instead of normal business hours? And I think we can start, Kelly, if you want to take that first.
Sure, absolutely. So I think that there's still a blended need in regards to understanding that, and as Vasu stated, you're going to have a spectrum of customers. And so it's not that you can serve just the technically savvy or those that are resistant to, say, using digital banking or some of your product or services. So where I look at it, where we are really trying to focus in, should I say, is where in the customer journey can we start to tailor experiences based on how we understand our members' usage. And so can you look to see how you blend those two together? And I'll give you an example. We call it kind of empathetic technology or empathetic tech. And that's where you're trying to, again, introduce what we call a wow factor, something that allows the experience to feel like, oh, I didn't know that you had that. Example, I'm waiting on hold because I prefer to speak to one of our member advocates. And if we can tell that you've always called in because you're checking your balance, you can actually intercept them with a technology where you say things like, hey, if you're calling about your balance, press 1 and I'll send you a text message. So again, they're in the channel of preference or choice, but you're intercepting and trying to say, wow, I don't sure if I really want to wait on hold for that balance today. If you're going to feed it to me or deliver it to me in a way that, again, introduces what I call the wow factor, which is where trust comes up in a technology because I wasn't expecting it. And you introduced a less friction or less friction for me to get the job to be done that I'm focused on. And so, yeah, I definitely think that the crossover or the empathetic tech is where you can try to insert the human value, the human connection by delivering it through technology, but in a way, again, that the member or in the consumer is not expecting it. And that's where you start to bridge the gap between the two different channels of choice.
And Vasu, what are your thoughts? And thank you,
Great
Kelly.
points made by Kelly. And I would say in all of this, right, it's important to understand that we're working with customers. Trust is so important. It takes so much to build trust, but it takes maybe one bad experience to
Absolutely.
really earn the trust. And so when we are looking at all of these technologies, understanding where the human in the loop is important, understanding the level of readiness of the customers with the tech. The tech may be able to do a lot of things, but if the customers are not ready for it, then it's not going to be successful. So it's really important to understand that. And then the other aspect of tech itself is if you want to make it completely autonomous, ensuring that things like bias and monitoring and explainability are critical things to take care of. And I would say, as an industry and as an organization, for us, trust is critical, more important than being autonomous. There is definitely aspects where, to Kelly's point, introducing the tech in an augmentative fashion, where still based on the preference of the customer, they're still able to have that human interaction. So having that blend is where I see, at least in the near future, where we're headed.
And Vasu, I want to, if you don't mind, I want to jump in one piece. I think you made an excellent point, and that is around the readiness or the openness of how you deliver your services. And one point that just caught for me was, in some ways, enabling. So looking at your processes. So step back from even the technology. Look at the processes that are driving all consumers towards a single endpoint. So if you're driving them to a branch, if you're driving them to the call center because you don't have a self-service option, you're driving all of those different readiness to one source. And so they'll end up, right? You'll have a call in front of a member who really wants to speak to someone because that's their preference, with someone who's like, I really wish I could do this on my own. So if you actually take a step back and look at your processes, look at the readiness that you have to serve in an autonomous way, you end up getting those preferences, those preferences that have, I want to work with a human, you're getting them to an agent faster because they're not standing behind individuals who would enable, who would take advantage of your tech, but you haven't given them the opportunity to do so because you're still creating a crutch that says, I have to call the contact center to get that service or my job to be done. So you speak to me, Vasu, that's actually even before the call happens, before they walk into one of your locations, is have I enabled this in a self-service environment for those who are ready or willing to take advantage of the self-service modules? Thank you for letting me jump in. You just see an aha moment, Vasu.
Great.
No, that's great. That's great. That's great. And again, it's always good when there's some back and forth when we're sitting on a panel. So definitely appreciate that. And I think that is a great segue into when we talk about AI and banking, because we hear with financial service firms AI, it's a very hot topic, but I think there's still a group of people who don't quite understand either how powerful it is or how to implement it safely, because you can use it for everything from accelerating development of new platforms, customer touch points. We all know it's here to stay, but it's still ripe with a lot of questions. And I think one of the questions I want to throw at both of you is actually from one of our attendees, that the automation is essential for efficiency, but how do you determine, when you're looking at the implementation of AI, what experiences should be human versus AI driven? So Vasu, you want to take that one first?
Yeah, great question. And to me, it's an extension of the topic that Kelly and I were discussing, right? That it's important as you scale AI to first understand what are some challenges that you might encounter and things that you need to have in place. Responsible AI is as important as the capability within AI itself. And it takes time to scale up, the guardrails and the monitoring and the understanding the risk appetite of the organization. So typically what I would say is perhaps a good criteria to consider in the human versus the autonomous loop is, what is the risk appetite of your organization? What are the existing guardrails that are available for the risk appetite? Have you tested with the human in the loop, perhaps with like existing associates and internal customers, to make sure that whatever gaps or challenges that you might encounter are addressed? Again, having that AI with the end customer in terms of the level of maturity is at a pretty higher level. I would never recommend going directly to, end customer experience with AI without ensuring that you have the proper risk mitigation, guardrails, and monitoring in place. And so I would say there isn't like a black and white answer on what should be human versus not. It depends on the organization. It depends upon the services provided by the organization. It depends upon the readiness of the org, the risk appetite, as well as the readiness for the customers as well to adopt it.
Sure. And Kelly, what are your thoughts? And thank you, Vasu.
Yeah, I agree completely in terms of with the guardrails and the readiness. For our organization, we did that under the umbrella of an AI Center of Excellence. And so within our vertical or our organization, really that ensures the same things that Vasu was sharing, which is to be strategic, thoughtful. You don't rush this. You ensure you're partnering with the right technology vendors that have multiple AI models that are running, so that you can offer generalized FAQ information that's available to the public, and that as the complexity of the AI continues to increase and the speed and convenience and expectations go up, you're also able to deliver some of that AI in things where you're using different fraud detections and different ways of doing step-up authentication, so that as the AI is able to share more and those guardrails are there, are you able to actually authenticate these individuals in a way that they can actually take advantage of the higher powered AI capabilities, which are things like in authenticated flows like we use, where you can actually do, again, some lower risk, but they are personalized. So things like, can I skip this payment? Yes, you can, and I can do that work for you. Can I enroll in e-statements? Yes, you can. One click, you're done. And so really making sure you're intentional about that. The other part that we're using for an AI perspective that, again, trying to make sure that we are embracing this in an intentional way is really making sure that we're using data in a way that we understand what are members using our AI for, what types of questions, how can we deliver kind of that personalized predictive method, so that, again, we're enabling the AI to run for those that are engaging with it, and then able to then use that kind of to enhance the member experience. So I completely agree. I feel like I could say ditto to what Vasu shared, because all of it has to be intentional. And I also don't know that our members, and I think general consumers, I think that the level of readiness for AI is certainly on a fast track. This desire and need for information right now and to resolve the job to be done right now, I think is only accelerating. So expectations, I think, of the consumer are also changing, and we need to be ready for that and able to enable the AI to help us with some of the basic needs.
And Kelly, because you are working with a very diverse consumer base, ranging from some of the younger kind of Gen Z all the way through the boomers and retiring populations, when you are looking at technology to, especially AI, to deliver to your customers, Do you find that there's one group that tends to give a little bit more pushback, or do you think the adoption is similar across kind of a cross section of different age groups?
Oh, Nair, I feel like you were in a recent staff meeting of mine where I got a very similar question, which I
Sure.
was like, okay, let's how because we aren't necessarily measuring demographics on our FAQ bots that are running. So again, it's anyone can get access to that. But then back to kind of the same question you asked me earlier, which was around some of the way that we survey, close the loop, identify feedback from consumers is in those channels where we can see that we've got some AI running, specifically AI tech that's member facing for us, able to start to pull out threads of their comfortability. Now, generally speaking, we have most of our older members are the more survey friendly. We don't see a lot of email adoption from our lower demographics. That's where things like a text message SMS comes in, or in the moment feedback when they are using your tech. Can you push in and say, hey, did we meet your needs? And so I'll actually give you an answer. I think it's actually across the board. I think you have definitely less tolerance to the younger demographic. If you're not hitting in that chat bot, or your AI is returning messages like, I don't understand, they're saying something very clear like hours, and it's not hitting because you're still using one source or one model that's doing just intent based and not using generative AI and things like that, where it can stream and piece together certain pieces of data to try to say, how does humans say this? You will miss, and they will probably not retry. And you may then lose that consumer in general because that's an expectation they have. More tolerance on an older demographic who's like, well, maybe it's me. Maybe I'll just keep entering different keywords to try to get it to work. And
Sure.
so I think really being intentional about and also pushing in. And when I say push in, what I mean is if your member is consistently, as I use the example of they call for a balance, if you know that about your consumer, you can actually push the AI in to welcome them and deliver what you anticipate them needing. Going back to that wow factor, I didn't even have to ask for my balance or my hours or whatnot. It actually knew me well enough to know that's why I'm generally here on the second Tuesday of every month, as an example. So that gets into higher level personalization, but that is where I see the two meeting. And I think just general consumer expectation is going to grow. That's what we expect when we are interacting with our financial institutions.
And when you're looking at everything that's being brought out to the marketplace, technology seems to evolve on almost a minute by minute basis. Is there a key role for dedicated technology partnerships in your role, Kelly, or do you tend to just find subject matter experts in-house when you're looking at these new technologies? Where do you find the role of having some great external partners that are staying on top of the technology versus having great people in-house?
Well, that's a great question, because it's an and, it's not an or, in my opinion. It's not a you can have one or the other. Our organization, I mean, we are relatively smaller in the grand scheme of financial services, but our niche really is around that personalized service level, and credit unions are rooted in that kind of strategic collaboration that has always been baked in, that you have to have strategic partners because we will never have the tech spend or the ability to do everything in-house. So I like to look at vendors. I think it's twofold. I look at vendors more as strategic collaborators. They're an extension of my team. And so I have a shared responsibility with them. And that's, I start every session with them, which is, okay, what's the job to be done? What's the work we have here? What's our nucleus of what we're trying to do? And I want that shared responsibility between myself and a vendor because they are also part of the conversation. They're part of the solution. They own the technology that we are enabling. And so how are you making sure that we're co-creating these experiences? It's not just my job to find bugs or my team's job to make sure the technology works. It's also their responsibility and ours together to create collective and meaningful roadmaps for both the way that we're enabling their technology and how they're developing their technology, so it's keeping pace with the expectation. And in that partnership, you stop having to kind of jump technology providers. It feels like sometimes it was always, 3 years, let's find someone new who can do this. How can we maybe avoid that by keeping pace with each other and not outgrowing one or the other? So I definitely think that it's a partnership that you have to look for, but there is a huge responsibility on the financial services sector to make sure we are aware, we're spending time on webinars like this, we're learning about different providers that are out there so that we can have those meaningful conversations with our existing vendors with high hopes that they too will, again, co-create the technology that we expect and will need from not only today, but obviously looking forward.
I think that's great. And again, appreciate you spending time, and hopefully everyone on today's, everyone, all of our attendees, I hope, they've learned a few things that they can take back to their respective organizations. So again, just very appreciative of you spending your 8:30 in the morning on a Wednesday with us. So, this question I think is for Vasu. And outside of using AI for, better customer engagement, better customer touch points, is there a use of AI within Bread Financial for accelerating the digital transformation? Are you limiting it more to, great customer touch points, great customer insights?
No, first of all, great question. And I think, Neeraj, you mentioned it earlier. AI is everywhere. AI can be leveraged for so many different things. And from a Bread perspective, we're looking at opportunities to leverage AI both for our internal customer experiences, digital insights, developer productivity, efficiencies, but all of that, as we embark on the journey, the key thing is going to be ensuring that it's responsible, ensuring that it aligns with our values, having that human in the loop to make sure that we are comfortable with where it's headed, and then able to measure the ROI as well. There is a huge difference between asking ChatGPT some cool prompts and getting answers to implementing AI at an enterprise level at scale, when there's definitely customers, PII, all of those aspects in the loop. So we're definitely looking at a multitude of use cases to leverage the capabilities of AI, and with the rate at which it's advancing. Certainly personalized experiences are a key use case, but also looking at internal use cases as well as developer productivity use cases as well.
Sure. No, I appreciate that answer. And, it's again something that, we've heard, at least on my side, the entire gamut of the AI experience. And it can be something, again, we're looking at developing new platforms, or we want to just understand our customer better. So I think there's a million use cases. It's just getting a handle on, how it best suits each organization. So I want to spend a couple of minutes talking about just customer experience, because I think, part of today's webinar is really talking about the innovation of the customer experience. So one of the questions actually came in from an attendee, and that is just, when you're looking at banking, it's a very highly regulated environment. So how are you innovating the customer experience without running into compliance hurdles? And Vasu, I think I'll give you that question first.
Sure. It's a great question. And in banking, with the regulation, with the PII data, compliance, risk management, security are foundational. And the way we are approaching it, we have AI governance, which is that council addresses and has stakeholders from all the different teams. So it's info security, it is legal, it's compliance, it's risk. And so as use cases are brought about to leverage Gen AI, any other flavor of AI, we are looking at it from all those different angles and perspectives to ensure that, aligned with our risk appetite, we have monitoring mechanisms in place, controls in place. And so having that level of rigor around the use cases that get implemented helps us ensure risk, compliance, security, non-functional aspects, all of those are taken care of before we adopt AI for any scenarios.
And Yeah, I appreciate that answer. And Kelly, what are your thoughts around the continuous innovation of customer experiences without going through the things that are hurdled by compliance?
Oh, yes. It is definitely an ongoing opportunity where we just keep our conversations open with you, Vasu, our Center of Excellence, our risk and InfoSec. Like, it is a partnership to try to understand what the risk tolerance is based on use case. One of the things that has really accelerated our ability to, string multiple experiences together is using an anonymized token. So when we talk about PII and having to share that PII across multiple systems to create a seamless experience, you're just exposing risk at each and every one of those points. And so creating a autonomous token, token, allows you to kind of pass that token seamlessly across multiple systems, and then allows for things like step-up authentication and other pieces to be able to really make sure that you're able to say, hey, is this who we think it is? Have we done, are we investing in things like secure device authentication? Can we make sure that the person who's holding this device is who they say they are? And if we are exposing certain levels of information, that we are able to then say we know who it is, and they're completing those multiple step ups, and you're really adding sophistication to the type of information that you're exposing, so that, again, to this consumer or end user, as long as you are who you say you are, you have the device, we're using sophisticated technology that is the device in a location it should normally be in, you can then expose and allow those certain pieces of information that would normally require human intervention to be exposed to the end user or to the consumer. So I think it's in partnership no matter what. As Vasu said, it's not a singular department or person's responsibility. It's a collective organizational responsibility that says, how do we use our technology? How do we bridge our technology partners together to deliver these exceptional experiences in a very safe way?
No, I appreciate that. I think that was a very, very thoughtful, detailed answer, and I appreciate that. And do both of you feel that it's going to give better customer engagement and better loyalty with your customer base as technology continues to evolve? Do you feel like it's going to make for better customer engagements? And what are your thoughts, Kelly?
So I think that yes, the answer is that is the expectation. It's already here now. We already see the same day delivery of certain things. If you're using a large technology provider to enable services, you're able to. I think that the expectation is it's here now. It's not about really like, oh, is it coming or are we going to adopt it? It's how are we going to adopt it safely, and really making sure. I think that this kind of goes back to the very beginning of the conversation that we're having here today, which is how do you enable your technology where you're making it your mission to blend your technology with the experience, where you're prioritizing feedback loops, you're being inclusive in how you're designing your technology, you're looking for collaborative, innovative partners who have the same goals and objectives that you do as an institution, that says, you know what, it's not just about usage, it's about not just the numbers, it says how many.
Hello.
Did you lose just me? My apologies.
I have no idea what happened. So
I think we can get moving. Yeah.
yeah, sorry, I don't know. I think I got disconnected, so I apologize for that. So I probably did not get the response, Kelly, but let's we'll move on. I know we are approaching the end of our time, and I want to be cognizant of Kelly, your and Vasu's time, as well as our attendees. So just wanted to open the floor for any closing thoughts, and then if there are any final questions from the audience. So Vasu, I think I'll start with you.
Thank you. Again, seems like we covered a plethora of different aspects. I would say in summary, it's a great time for tech. The advances and the evolution of tech really open up a sea of possibilities that we can leverage for better experiences, both for our customers as well as our employees. I think the key is to ensure that we're doing this right, not quick. And doing it right means ensuring we have the right level of diligence, right level of rigor, right level of governance built in, so that we are doing this in a way that continues to build trust, continues to deepen relationships, and continues to provide customers excellent experiences. So that's one thing. Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you, Vasu. I think that's a great kind of closing point. And Kelly, any closing thoughts from today's session?
Well, certainly enjoyed the conversation. I love Vasu. I think that we could spend hours talking about this. I see some strong alignments and appreciate your insights. And certainly, you know, for me, it's technology is a moment in time. It's at the moment that you need the service or the access. And so as consumers, as businesses, how do we look at technology as, again, a mission in order to enable experiences that matter? Are we prioritizing feedback loops? Are we inclusive in our design? Are we using collaborative innovator technologies and partners? And then really thinking about how you're harvesting your own data and your own people to create wow moments that, again, crosses over channels, allows things not just to be about offers or processes or products, but around service engagement and service experiences of how someone feels after they engage with your organization. So I agree, tech is here, tech is now. And so however, you know, your organization can make that meaningful, you know, it takes a heart and it takes design to not just plug in a technology, but actually to make it matter to your consumers.
No, thank you. Thank you for that closing.
Hi, Neeraj. If I can add something,
Sure.
Vijay. So listening carefully and silently, Vasu, Kelly, I would say great insights shared both by you, and we made some points also, and I think the larger audience also gained some. I want to say that we at InfoVision are co-creating those experiences as you talk about collaborative partners. And Vasu, particularly, you highlighted the omnichannel seamless integration, and for Kelly, the automation self-service enhancements that you see today for customer experience. So great insights, and definitely want to thank you for it. And Neeraj, over to you.
No, thanks, Vijay. And yeah, as I mentioned, touched on a little bit earlier, one of the great things about working at InfoVision is, you know, the just breadth of experience that we have across just multiple topics in banking and financial services. So, you know, it's one of those things where if there's something that's brought to the table, it's not always, there's oftentimes it's no topic too big or small. I feel like we've, in some capacity, are able to answer it. But, you know, I want to close today's session with a special thank you both to you, Vasu and Kelly, for providing great insights today. I hope everyone attending today can take back some ideas to their respective organizations, whether it be a bank, a financial service organization, or just some new thoughts to reflect on. You know, and Nitin and Arvind and the broader AI CoreSpot team, appreciate you putting this event together. I think we've all learned some great insights from two very, very great panelists. And, you know, again, I want to thank everyone for taking some time out of their day for joining. And again, Kelly and Vasu for being great panelists. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions that come up afterwards, but enjoyed meeting with you, enjoyed our engagement. And I hope to continue this with both of you offline.
Thank you so much for having us here, and enjoyed the conversation. Have a great day.
Yep. And I think I'll pass it over to you, Nitin.
Thank you, Neeraj. You know, I'm sure we had a great session today for you, Neeraj, especially, you know, for moderating this session from beginning till now, in spite of some here and there technical glitch, but you nailed it very well. You did the introduction and went with all the panel members. And thanks a lot for bringing the things in close for the future prospect, the futuristic approach what we are trying to take in the banking space. And to all the speakers, eminent speakers, we had Vasu, Kelly, and Vijay. You all came together and shared the valuable insights to all our audience. So thanks a lot for your willingness to come and share this once again to all the audience. For those from who has missed the live webinar or wish to revisit the discussion, the recording will be available soon on our company's YouTube channel. Just for your information, the event was also broadcasted live on LinkedIn Live for greater accessibility. Looking ahead, we are excited as a platform to explore the latest technological innovations throughout the year. I know we have only 3 months to go for this year, but our upcoming events will span various sectors, which includes obviously banking, financial, insurance. This is one of the heart of all the webinars which we do. Then we have telecom, consumer goods, retail. We also do some events around media, healthcare, supply chain, manufacturing, and the list goes on. So stay updated with the tech news, upcoming events, registration details. You can visit our website and follow us on our social media channel. As a speaker and as the audience, your engagement is invaluable. So please continue to interact with us, share our content within your network so that we can spread the knowledge. We extend our heartfelt thanks to Infovision, who is our knowledge and innovation partner for today's webinar. To discover more about groundbreaking tech solutions, which they are already doing, visit their website, which is infovision.com. Thank you once again for your participation and support. We look forward to hosting more insightful sessions in the near future. Wishing you a wonderful day, a productive weekend, and a transformative year ahead. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.